Hi, I'm Box.
Couch Guy.
Regable.
And you're watching the Two Smart Guys show. Every week we bring you the latest and greatest and stuff.
Well,
Stuff.
This
I like how you shorten that to stuff.
yeah, it's not like voiding warranties, hacking your devices. It's now just stuff. We just do stuff.
I gotta mix it up. I can't do the same thing every week.
This is show 3 in the FreeNAS build, and
Unless you count like the previous FreeNAS 7 episodes.
Okay, so this is
FreeNAS 8. FreeNAS
Build
8.
Mark 2, Episode 2.
FreeNAS 8. And 5, 6, 7, 8.
I still think we should call it FreeNAS Hacking 101.
Oh,
This
God.
goes back to a year-long argument about the 17 word descriptions into titles. Back to the show. FreeNAS 8, show 3. We've gone through the parts list. We went through the installation, and now we're going to configure our FreeNAS 8 in the web GUI and give you some shares on a Windows environment so that you can actually back up. Now, the goal in this one is so that you can go to your client computers in your house, be it wherever they're at, and I'm going to add 2 shares drives to each of the computers. One's a music backup, one's a photo backup, instead of, because I don't believe in allowing everyone access to the full RAID array. So, what was that, Rackable? Piping in from the distance. Anyway, I don't know. Is there anything else we should add before we get into the video?
I don't know, buy our new canned soup. We don't have any ads this episode.
Right, well, is there anything, any 2 cents from you?
Just concerning actual security in your environment where you want to actually set up more than one share, you can configure each share to have its own permissions. So
Yeah, absolutely. I went for as basic, just get you running as possible.
yeah.
And that was the big deal. It's just, if you're in your own home environment, this is completely, like, security level is up to you how much intense you want to get to. I just want to get you from operational installation to able to use it. And that's all we went for at this point. First of all, we type in our URL the IP address of our NAS box, which is going to pop up FreeNAS. And what's different about this installation is they no longer took the password away, where automatically you bounce in, so you see the alert in the top. You need to take care of that. That's the need to change the admin password. So we're going to go into account, go down to my account, and change our password, and give ourselves access to this without having everyone in the world who can type in a URL.
What's your password?
John Smith. So from there we can go into our storage devices and we can create a volume. I have 3 2TB drives, a terabyte drive, and a 1.5 TB, and since the RAID needs to be all the same size, we went for the 3 2TB drives. So bink, bink, bink.
Otherwise, it uses the lowest common denominator
Which
in
would
size.
be bad.
Yep.
So I chose the ZFS option, and I went to RAID Z. If you want RAID Z2, you need to have more drives. RAID Z2 allows you to have 2 failures and still protection. Now this will create a volume depending on how big you are in terms of terabytes. It takes longer than others. The other 2 drives I decided I wanted to have access to, but I didn't really care if they were protected, so I wanted to create volumes for each of them, so they were small and medium on my FreeNAS array. So I'll just use ZFS as both the file system on those. Now right away you need to change your permissions. Any file system that's allocated inside this needs to have permissions adjusted for. I just opened up write permissions to everything and every user and said okay. I did this to all my volumes. This will include the ones that I'm going to make here a little bit. I just showed you these. They're all the same. Nothing different between a RAID array and a normal drive. So from there I created a data set because I want to have everybody to have just see little individual drives instead of have the RAID. I want to do it on the RAID. And the first one I'm going to make is my music set. And of that, for the quota for this data sheet, I just put 300 gigs because I can always expand it if I need to. But just to get started, 300 gigs sound like a nice number. So 300G. Now, if you want to reserve space for the data set, you can do this, but it takes away from your main RAID. So I decided not to do that. I'll do it one more time for the photos. So we'll go straight in, we'll be on the RAID. It'll be a photos data set. And for this one, I just put 50 gigs just because at this point I don't know how much I'm going to need, so start with something low. I can always change that number, and if you ever need to come back and change the number, this is exactly where you're going to do it. You're just going to go from 50 to 500 to, 5 terabytes. If you want to do terabytes, 5T. So we change the permissions. We're going to go over and create an account. I just made a generic account just to get it using, and just add a user. I just went for guest for all intents and purposes. And all you really need is a username, a name as in full name, which I tried to bypass there, and then the password. Once you've got those 4 areas filled out, you are set to go for a login for FreeNAS. Next, we are going to create the shares themselves. So we're going to go into the sharing option, and we're going to create a Windows share, which is a CIFS. Mac uses AFP, and Linux uses NFS, which we'll show you in another show. For the share, I just wanted to be the music backup, and I honestly just named it, showed the pathway to the RAID, which bounced in is just where I made it before, and the music, and that's all I had to do. There was no other option. Everything else is just security optional things like Ragnar was talking about, where you can make them more safe and secure. We did the same thing again for the photo share. You see there's nothing more than just naming it, making it available. Bounce into the RAID. There it is in the pictures. And we're out. So from this point, we need to go into our services. Now, only turn on the services that you're using. At this point, most everything's off. CIFS needs to be turned on so that your Windows machines can see it. There's no reason to turn anything else on if you're not using it. We bounce into our Windows machine, and you just need to type in the bar the / and then the IP address for the FreeNAS box, which when mine was 1.144, and you see it bounce up and see 2 shares. Right click and map the network drive so it shows up on your machine all the time. Give it a letter because you have to, and say OK.
Today's letter M is brought to you by FreeNAS.
What it does is going to ask you for your guest access, and you're just going to give it your access account name and your password. If it's your home computer and where you're happy with it, just always remember the credentials. I did the same thing again for the pictures backup. Map the drive, Lucky P. And you look, there's the music backup. It shows up on the system as only 300 gigabytes, which is a big deal to me. And the other ones for pictures backup shows up as 50 gigabytes. And then on the front end where your users are, they never know how much potential storage you actually have, and you can always reallocate. Now, if you want to see what your actual storage use is, you can go into the reporting menu under the system, and you can see what your RAID sits at. You can see your individual drives, and you can actually even see your data sets that you made. You'll see at the bottom here there's the RAID music and the RAID pictures, and the green bar is the allocation we just gave it. And as it fills up, you'll see a red line fill, so if you ever need to add more, you can add more space to it. So for the most part, that's the basics on how to get you going with the setup. It's relatively simple: user account, data sets, and then pointing the shares towards those data sets. Everybody's approach to how to give their access to their data is different. You could absolutely just point everything towards the RAID and be done if you want to.
Yeah,
I think the biggest thing here that is, coming to FreeNAS 8 is the whole ZFS and RAID Z setup.
Absolutely.
And trying to get a grasp around the new terminology.
It seems like the setup is a little bit simpler than last time to me, but maybe not.
It seems a lot less command line into for basic
and
things.
It seemed like there's more hardware.
But it also,
options.
Well, there's more hardware options, but we also stripped out a lot of the features that everybody liked about FreeNAS. It's no longer a UPnP server. So doing a media server directly from FreeNAS isn't possible right now.
And torrent.
Torrents are gone.
Torrent's gone.
Really?
Yeah.
The BitTorrent client's gone.
Yeah, a lot of stuff got stripped out.
Is rsync still in there?
rsync is still in there as far as I can tell.
But Unison is not.
You see, Unison and rsync were kind of in the same features, that Unison was using the rsync algorithm, so after a while, it just kind of...
Yeah, the only two options you see major are rsync and cron. So, but you can also do FTP. You can do an FTP through this. NFS shares, obviously, are standard. The Mac and PC sharing, which is the big deal. The whole reason why you want to use this is so that you can actually have access to this stuff. I think what I'm going to end up doing is doing an FTP share on one of my non-rated drives. Put the terabyte just up there as an FTP. Something where I don't care. I'll partition part of it out. I don't know. It's nothing that I'm.
And if it goes down, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it. It's not a critical material, and that's why I didn't have a problem with throwing in those drives. It's just like, oh, well, I've got the space, might as well use them for something. You know, there are times where you just need to transfer, like for me, I may transfer some material from this computer to another computer and need an intermediate, and in reality, it's a pain in the butt to use a USB drive just to pack it around the house. Why not use one of these I don't care drives and say, all right, here's a way to throw all the family photos into this and I can transfer it over here. It doesn't need to be backed up and saved.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just an intermediate for me. So, I don't know. We're always looking for more suggestions.
Yeah, we got some really good feedback in the last.
Feedback on the last one.
Yeah, last episode. Still got to go through all of it. We got so much of it, but we still want more. So now that you've seen this setup and seen how it works, any suggestions on what you want to see tutorials on what to do with
We've
FreeNAS?
shown you the basic setup with FreeNAS. You know, and since most of the people who are watching our show have expressed the Windows side of it, we went with Windows first for the basic Windows setup for your house. Most everybody's got the Windows at least in their house, so that's how you do it. It's easy. And you know, while we're talking about it, this is about the time of year where we should be asking about this too. If we don't want to do something special for Halloween, now is the time for suggestions for a Halloween episode.
Ooh.
Because now gives us enough time to actually buy stuff and figure out what we want to do with it and get it out there before Halloween actually happens. So, and since Halloween's it's on a Monday, not on a Wednesday, so it'll be
interesting.
We have we'll be delivering a show the same day Halloween strikes, so you won't have. We want to be before that.
Yeah, it'll be the week before. The week before the Halloween.
The free Halloween show delivered on Halloween.
Yeah.
Well, I said that we want to show a week before Halloween that is for Halloween, you know. So anyway, if you have suggestions of things you want to do for Halloween or things you're into, we always want to know about it.
Post in the comments below. You can email me. I'm pox@twosmartguys. And I'm going to throw out the same trivia question as last week. If you want to get a Two Smart Guys sticker.
It's a dangerous one.
You just got to find out the RAID card that...
SATA card.
The eSATA card.
eSATA card I used.
That he's using in his build.
Now, I'll tell you that there's a clue in the first episode, because you actually see the box that came in, which if you're really, really fast, you might... I didn't really go into detail what it was ever, but you might be able to read what it is. And in the second episode, if you are super fast and you can pause really, really well, you might be able to catch the information on the BIOS as it goes, not on the BIOS, but as the build goes by.
And technically, you're talking about the third and fourth, or
this is the third episode. I don't want to hear about
the second and third episode, unless you count the RAID episode.
Well, we're not going to count the RAID episode. The RAID episode is not part of the build. The RAID episode is I failed.
Anyways, more shows like this, twosmartguys.com, and please subscribe to the feed. It helps us out, and then you get the shows automatically delivered to you.
And we really do, read all your suggestions and all your comments and everything else.
Yeah, even if it takes us a while to reply, we do see them and we do read them.
All three of us.
Yeah.
All three of us.
I read mine. I read them.
I don't always respond to stuff that's too far back, but the most current shows we always, we definitely see and respond when we can. So if they're a year old, I don't see them that often. But
see you guys next week.
Bye.
This has been the Two Smart Guys production.